Hi everyone! Happy New Year! Or in Japanese, you can say Akeome, which is short for Akemashite Omedetou, or Happy New Year! I hope everybody had a great 2022. Now it's 2023, so I thought I would share 3 short activities that you can do in 5 minutes every day that can help transform your life. They certainly have transformed my life in ways that I couldn't have imagined before, despite how simple they are. So I thought I'd share these 3 things that I learned last year, that I started doing last year, that have, I guess, transformed my life in certain aspects. The first one is exercise. And I know everybody says this, they're like, oh, you know, if you exercise more, your life will be better, you'll be healthier, you'll have more energy, etc. But I didn't realize that such a short amount of exercise could help. So I'm talking about 5 minutes every day. These are 5-minute activities that I'm like going over, these 3 things. And if you're like me, the thought of doing intense exercise for like 30 to 45 minutes, or God forbid an hour or 2 hours every day, is just not really something you can really get behind. Like, to me, when I exercise for that long, my head starts to hurt, my chest starts to hurt, my breath actually burns in my throat, so the thought of actually doing that to myself is terrifying and very uncomfortable, obviously. So I'd never realized that, like, you know, that's not what people are talking about when they say exercise is actually like going to help make your life better. It can be as short as 5 minutes every day. And I realized this because here in Japan, I got a bicycle, and where I am in Japan, it's very hilly. So I'm, you know, in order to go into the office where I normally work on weekdays, I have to go up several smallish hills, and that's like 5-ish minutes of exercise, like intense, you know, heart rate raising exercise, basically every weekday that I go in. After about 3-ish months of this, which was totally doable, like I didn't even think about the fact that I was exercising every day for those 3 months, but I was obviously. Only like 3-ish months of doing this, and I felt like I had more energy. When I woke up, I wasn't as like drained or tired. I think I got better sleep, etc. All these like really small enhancements to my life happened that I noticed when I just sat down and started thinking about, you know, how I was feeling and stuff. I realized I had a lot more energy and felt better than I did last summer, when I basically didn't go out at all. I just kind of stayed at home and did things. And so that was quite transformative to discover that. So yes, number 1 is 5 minutes of exercise every day is enough to transform your life in a positive way. The next one, number 2, is meditation. So I think meditation is getting a lot of hype these days, and I think there's a lot of people who are like, you know, recommending meditation retreats or stuff like that. For example, silent retreat. You go to a place where you live there for a week or however long the retreat is. It's completely silent, you don't talk during the whole thing, you just sit there and meditate for hours every single day. And that's a little bit extreme, at least in my opinion. That's not something that, you know, you can, not everybody's just going to uproot their lives and like go for a week to a retreat and not be able to talk to anybody, like, etc. These are 3 useful tips you can easily apply to your lives, right? So it takes 5 minutes every day. Only 5 minutes. And only 5 minutes of meditation every day is enough to actually have, like, show a difference. So I think the really valuable thing here is that if you're like me, or most of us, I think, you're constantly being stimulated by the world. Whether that be your cell phone or your laptop, TV, etc. You're constantly, you know, overblowing your mind with all sorts of information and thoughts and etc. And you're not taking the time to really process it, any of it. And I learned that your mind does need time to do this processing, or it can result in a lot of like unhealthy behaviors such as depression, or you might be overly stressed, these kinds of things. So all of this like piling up of negativity, or not negativity, but this like piling up of like unprocessed stuff in your mind. If it's not processed properly, then it'll have repercussions on your body and of course, your brain. You need to give your brain some time to process that. And that time can be through meditation. And as little as 5 minutes every day can help you kind of process, help your mind process, and could also be very revealing and a good time to actually reflect on who you are as a person and grow, if that's one of your goals, which was my goal. Personally, I use my meditation time to kind of think through tangled thoughts that I have and unravel them, or feelings that I have that I don't understand, those kinds of things, and learn more about myself. So really what I do when I meditate is I will sit down, close my eyes, and begin to focus on the present moment. And what that entails is focusing on my breathing, noticing what sounds there are, if there are any sounds. Oftentimes there are. Even in a silent room, there will be like the air conditioning and stuff. Noticing what internal and external sensations there are in my body. So inside, maybe I can feel my heartbeat or the air going through my lungs. Or I could feel the air from the air conditioner on my skin. So I focus on my senses, my hearing, my feeling, inside and outside, and my breath. If I feel myself getting distracted and getting pulled away from the present moment by thoughts about the future or the past, I remind myself that they're just thoughts. And then I observe the thought, and oftentimes if you try to observe a thought, it just kind of disappears, kind of says something about thoughts. But I observe the thought, it disappears, and I bring myself back to the breath or the sensations or the sounds, etc. Yeah, so I do that for about 5 to 10 minutes every day. I used to go with a timer, but I don't really time myself anymore. I just kind of go until I feel settled, and who knows how long that is now. Might be even longer than 10 minutes since I'm used to it now. I've been doing it for about like 2 or 3 months. But really, you only need to do it like 5 minutes every day. I do it in the nighttime before I go to sleep, but anytime throughout the day is fine. Really, you only need to do it like 5 minutes a day for it to be beneficial for both your mental health and for finding out more about who you are as a person. Because, sometimes, a lot of the time, we don't really understand or know what kinds of thoughts come to us. They just kind of come to us and we kind of ignore them or don't think about them. So being able to find out the kinds of thoughts that come to you when you just sit there, you're sitting there with yourself, being in the present moment, can be very revealing. Same with feelings that come, recognizing those feelings that come. So doing that process for 5 minutes every day, transformative. Yes. Okay, number 3, the last one that I have for y'all. The third one is journaling. Journaling is something really quick and easy you can do 5 minutes every day. I confess I don't do it every day. I feel like if I did it every day, I wouldn't have a lot to write about. So I kind of tend to do it maybe once a week or twice a week or once every 2 weeks if I'm really lazy about it. But doing, consistent journaling is a good thing to do, especially if you're somebody like me who has unprocessed trauma. So I actually learned recently that the way to heal and get past fears and trauma, the first step is relive the experience that caused the fear or trauma, and actually give yourself a moment to let your body feel those emotions again, but in a safe environment, safe, controlled environment where you're not actually in danger like you were during the traumatic event. So a lot of people will do this in therapy, like talk therapy with their therapist, and that's a great way to do it. But another way to do it by yourself, which is powerful, you don't have to pay for therapy if you don't have the monetary means to do so, is to just sit down and write about it in as much detail as you can. Think about the emotions you're feeling, really go back to that time and just write. May seem scary, but the more you do it, the more you'll kind of let go of the feelings and it won't be as intense anymore. let's say you had, let's do a positive thing, a really positive, funny story. The more you tell the story, oftentimes what happens is the less intense those positive feelings feel. Like, the first time it's like super, super funny or like whatever, crazy or whatever the feeling is. But, you know, after like the 100th time you told the story or thought about it, it's not that funny anymore or not that exciting anymore or whatever. Like, the intensity goes down. The same thing happens with negativity. So if you relive the negative emotions once, it's probably still really intense, but the more and more you relive things, the kind of less intense they'll become, and you'll kind of reach the state of, hopefully, neutrality regarding that fear or trauma that you're trying to process. And that is the first step to kind of healing and getting over the trauma or fear. But, you know, journaling isn't just useful for people with trauma or regarding fears or whatever. It's also useful in a similar way to meditation, where it'll give you some time to process things that happen during your day, but in a very purposeful way. So unlike meditation, where you're just kind of giving your brain some like empty time for it to generally do whatever it's supposed to do, journaling is very like directed, right? You can write whatever you want to write, and writing requires some action. So you need to, you know, kind of direct it and make it flow in a certain way. It's not like meditation where you're just kind of like letting whatever thoughts come to you and observing them. With, you know, journaling, you start with a purpose. And I guess that's really important. And so you get to realize like where are the problems that I have in my life, and you get to kind of process through those directly. So, like I said before, if you don't have the monetary means to get a therapist, or there are no therapists in your area, journaling is a great way to kind of be your own personal therapist, which is kind of incredible. Yeah, but like I said before at the beginning, it can sometimes be hard to find things to write about every day, unless I guess you have crazy days every day, which is valid. So if that happens to you, like, just really go for it. But if you're like me, and you don't really have a lot of crazy things happening to you every day, writing like once a week or twice a week or whatever it is, to give yourself time, like I said, to process and go through things on paper like that is super, super valuable. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed these 3 things that I learned last year that really helped to transform my life, and I hope that they can help you become a better and healthier person this year in 2023. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!